Hi, today, chapter 4 of 97 Days to Train a 97 Ways to Train a Dragon. Daisy, Wiglaf whispered as he crept into the henhouse. Are you awake, girl? Yea, came Daisy's voice. Wiglaf's pig Latin ever since a wizard cast a spell on her. We have a problem, Daisy, said Wiglaf. His name is Worm, and he quickly told her the story. Could you look after him, Daisy? Asked Angus. May. Daisy looked alarmed. We'll bring food for him later, Wiglaf told her. Worm will be safe here. Bragwort is suspicious. He's sure to tell Mordred on us. Okay, said Daisy. She rooted around in her straw and made a place for the pipling. As the boys left, they heard Daisy singing softly, Inkle-tway, it'll lay our stay. Angus, Wiglaf stopped suddenly. I know how we can figure out what Worm likes to eat. The library. You think he eats books, said Angus. No, said Wiglaf. We'll find a book about baby dragons. So the boys headed for the South Tower. By the time they had run up the hundreds of crumbling steps to the top, Angus was gasping for breath. The library was the only place in the whole school with great big windows. On a sunny day, light flooded in. Even this early, Wiglaf could see a wide stretch of rosy sky. Brother Dave, the DSA librarian, had made the library most inviting. He'd put a huge unicorn pillow on the floor for students to lie on while they read. He put posters on the walls. One showed a knight wearing a book for armor. He was knocking another knight off his horse. A caption read, You can't beat a book. The trouble was, most DSA students didn't even know their school had a library. Brother Dave, Wiglaf called. Cometh in, the DSA librarian called. Ah, 'tis thou, Wiglaf, the monk said with a smile. A visit to the library, a fine way to begin thy day. Bless me, here is Angus too. Brother Dave, said Angus, we need a book on raising baby dragons. Brother Dave tapped a finger on his chin. Waitest here. The monk toddled off toward the shelves in the back of the library. A moment later he emerged from the stacks. He was covered in cobwebs. Thou art in luck, he said, putting a small dusty book into his hands. Angus blew dust from the book. There were fancy gold letters on the cover. 97 Ways to Train Your Dragon, Angus read. Aha. By Sir Sit-Stay-Heel. By Sir Sit-Stay-Heel. He flopped down on... Do you get it? Sit, stay, heel. When you train your dog, you teach it to sit, to stay, and to heel. Cute. He flopped down on the big unicorn pillow, opened the little book, and began reading aloud. Congratulations, you have a new dragon pipling. If you don't, why in the world are you reading this book? A newly hatched pipling can't see. It can't walk either, but soon it will enter the bouncing stage. It will bounce higher and higher, and then one day it will spread its pipling wings and take off. Angus kept flipping pages. Feeding. Never feed your pipling marshmallows. Ooh, if you do, he will throw up all over your tunic. Too bad we didn't know that before, said Angus, and he read on. In the wild, a mama dragon chews up eels and feeds them to her piplings. You must also feed your pipling ABC eel. Oh, and then it says ABC means already been chewed. Angus made a face and read on. Piplings like raw eel. The first few chews are disgusting, but you'll get used to it. Oh, said Wiglaf, I can't do that. Me neither, said Angus. He looked back down at the book. All right, if you can't, you can't. Use cooked eel then, but you must chew it up. We do that 3 times a day in the dining hall, said Angus. Brother Dave chuckled. How happy it makes me to see lads who love learning. Thanks for finding this book, Brother Dave, said Angus. Thou art welcome, Angus, said Brother Dave. Cometh back soon. Yesterday, Wiglaf and Angus had been too late for breakfast, but today they made it just in time. They picked up trays and slid them along the railings. Angus plopped an extra-large helping of scrambled eel onto his plate. Wiglaf helped himself to extra creamed eel on toast. It looked nasty. He wondered if the pipling would like it. Oh, I wonder if you all know what an eel is. If you don't, I'll give a brief explanation. It's like a long, it looks like a snake, but it's long and it lives in water and they're slimy. The boys sat down at the class 1 table. Angus kept reading as he shoveled in his breakfast. Breakfast. Pipplings can be fussy eaters, but all pipplings love moatweed, moat slime, moat sludge, moat scum, moat eels, and nights. As he listened, Wiglaf slipped some creamed eels into his tunic pocket. A book, Bragwort said, eyeing Angus. You know how to read? Your own business, Bragwort, said Angus. Mind it. Give it here, said Bragwort. He grabbed for the book. But before he could get his hands on it, the headmaster strode into the dining hall. Attention, he called. All the boys jumped up. Scrubathon is off to a good start, but I need this school as clean and shiny as a newly minted gold coin. Mordred's eyes glazed over as his thoughts turned to riches. At that moment, a large bear lumbered into the dining hall. Bragwort screamed, Sir, bear attack, bear attack! Mordred quickly picked up his chair and started swinging. My lord, stop, cried the bear, ducking as the chair whizzed over his head. 'Tis I, your scout, Yorick. Mordred stopped mid-swing. Yorick? He lowered the chair. What news, Yorick? The inspectors have just left Dragon Stabber's prep, my lord, said Yorick. That school lost points for its dirty kitchen. Well, they won't find any dirt in the DSA kitchen, said Mordred. Guess where I'll be scrubbing today, whispered Angus. I will give Scrubathon badges to boys doing a super-duper job, Mordred finished. A few of the newer boys clapped weakly. Mordred strode out of the dining hall. Within the hour, Wiglaf stood next to Angus, working on eel-encrusted skillets and cauldrons coated with boar grease. They had just enough time to dash to the henhouse before lunch. How's Worm doing, Daisy? Asked Angus. Oh, say okay, said Daisy. She wiped eel juice from Worm's chin. Worm, purred the pipling. Wiglaf smiled. He'd never seen Daisy look happier, or Angus either. Over the next few days, Wiglaf and Angus dashed from their Scrubathon chores to the henhouse whenever they could. Angus took charge of feeding the little dragon. Worm was always hungry, but since Fried Pot served eel at every meal, bringing eel tidbits for the little dragon was no problem. And the dragon was growing bigger every day. Daisy loved the little pipling. Her only complaint was the pipling's inky stay, oop pay. Can you figure that one out? And the hens didn't seem to mind having a pipling in their house. He stayed in Daisy's stall and out of their way. One morning, when the boys arrived, Daisy held Worm up. Oakley, she said. Oh, he got his first fang, said Angus. I wonder when he'll open his eyes. He took the pipling from Daisy and put him down on the ground. Such a good little fellow. But the next morning when the boys opened the henhouse door, dozens of hens burst out, cackling and squawking. Daisy, Wiglaf called, running toward her stall. Daisy? Is Worm all right? Cried Angus. The pig was hunkered down in a corner. The pipling was bouncing all over the henhouse like a crazy rubber ball. Looks like he's hit the bouncing stage, said Wiglaf. Worm, come to me. The pipling turned blindly and bounced toward Wiglaf's voice. Boing, boing. He bounced right into Wiglaf's arms. Angus held up a small chunk of scrambled eel. Worm lifted his head. He sniffed. Then slurp, the eel was gone. While Angus fed Worm, Daisy told Wiglaf that when the pipling woke up, he started bouncing, and nothing would stop him. All gone, Worm, Angus said at last. Worm, said Worm. Tiny twin flames spurted out of his nose. He's still hungry, said Angus. Can I try to feed him? Wiglaf asked. And there's a picture. All right, Angus folded his arms across his chest. But only a little, okay? You have Daisy. I want Worm to like me best. Wiglaf dangled an eel in front of Worm's nose. Worm sniffed. Slurp. Then he opened his mouth. Burp. Wiglaf laughed. He tickled the pipling under the chin. Suddenly Worm's eyes popped open. Yellow eyes with cherry red centers. Worm tilted his head. He kept looking at Wiglaf. He almost seemed to be smiling. Angus, said Wiglaf as he wiggled the eel. Worm's eyes just opened. Angus rushed over. He can see me now. Come to me, Worm, called Angus, patting his lap. Here, boy. But Worm kept his gaze on Wiglaf. He blinked again. Then he opened his little pink mouth and warbled, Mommy. And that's the end of chapter 4.